Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is going to be a good one. First of all, I have some news to break about these. I have some other news to break that I got an email from Can Am this morning, which you may have received as well. And what we're gonna do is a review that you guys have asked about. So lots coming up in this video. First of all, what am I doing here today? We're here at Extreme Torque Motorsports. They're amazing. We'll talk about them in a second. And I'm gonna compare the 2024 Can Am Spyder RT to the Can Am Spyder F3. These are both set up for touring, and that's the comparison we're gonna have. Now, if you want a spec comparison, that's not what this is going to be. Head over to the website, you can compare spec for spec, spec for spec, all the way through. What I'm gonna do is start looking at some of the practical differences, the stuff that doesn't easily show up on the website, and go from one to the other to try to give you that, as best I can, the comparison between the two of stuff that you're going to experience if you own one or the other, and help you decide which one might be best for you. So in doing that, there may be things that you want to see that I don't point out. Well, the best thing about Extreme Torque Motorsports is they let me come back here as often as I want to come back to these units again and again and again to make sure that you get the information that you need. So if there's something that you want to know about these, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to have all kinds of videos about them. We've already done a bunch. We're going to do a bunch more. And if you have a question, let me know in the comments below and I'll get back to you in a future video. So before we go too far, let's break some news. One of the big things you guys have been asking about is, when is Apple CarPlay coming to these? Because it said on the website they're going to have Apple CarPlay capability, and some of you got some discounts and some extra warranty and that kind of thing because it wasn't there right away. From my understanding, it was a licensing agreement. Well, both of these models do have Apple CarPlay, and it's active right now. So if you own one of these right now and you haven't got Apple CarPlay, it's now available. So hopefully we can put that one to rest, because that had nothing to do with me, but a lot of you really questioned me on that. So again, Apple CarPlay. I'm not going to actually just demonstrate that today. We've got other things to show you. The other thing is, I'm excited to say that Can Am sent me the email this morning, which you may have received as well. There's electric motorcycles coming out. So there's two different motorcycles. There's sort of an off-road one and an on-road one. Both are going to be street legal, and they're going to be coming here to Torque as well. And when they show up, I will be doing those reviews as well. So lots to cover, but today, just these two. Let's get going with that review. So to a lot of people, this and that, it's kind of confusing for some people. Why are they both in the lineup? Why are they like this? Well, the reality is the F3 came out as sort of a sportier and slightly less expensive alternative to the RT. What's cool about the F3 though is they've evolved it over the years to kind of add on all kinds of pieces to make it into a sportier alternative that can also tour. Now the RT has gone in some interesting ways as well. That top box on that is removable, so it looks a little bit more like the F3 to some people, and you can make it look a little bit sportier than it is, or maybe, to me that looks touring, and you can make them sportier styled, and we've reviewed some of the sportier styling F3s. However, both of these can be set up for touring. And if you think about the motorcycle world, something like a Harley Davidson, there's a lot of Harley Davidsons that can tour. There's a lot of different kinds of bikes that can tour. And with these three-wheeled vehicles, they're just so good for touring. A lot of people just want to do that, right? So now you have some options, but what are the key differences? Obviously, there's some styling differences. We're going to talk about those briefly. We're going to talk about the practical differences, and we're going to talk about just the general comfort. Depending on your style, the way you like to ride a vehicle like this or a motorcycle, you may prefer one over the other. And it is worth noting that this one, the F3, which is the black one here, is a less expensive model than that one. So when you see some extra features, it's not like it's a apples to apples price comparison. That one is more expensive, and it does have a few more features for that money. Both, I think, are pretty good values when you start considering what's out there in the two-wheeled motorcycle world, because you just do get more in a three-wheel, especially when it comes to a touring type rig. So let's start looking at some of the F3 stuff and start going back and forth, and we'll keep going through. So starting with the F3 here, it is worth noting that these two share a powertrain. So you're really talking about the key weight, the key pieces are kind of in there and centralized, but the F3 shows that a little bit more because you have a lot of opening between the wheels here. And you're gonna see the difference in the RT in a second here. So you've got the grille down low. You do have a trunk storage space in here. It is smaller than the RT, so we're gonna look at that as well. But you'll have some different styling here. So one of the key ways to tell these apart from the front is you'll see a little less bodywork here. There's some radiators in there on the RT, and you also have different lights. Now, Lighting effectiveness, I would argue, is probably the exact same. I haven't driven these like at night to tell you exactly which one's better, but they do have sort of a individual lighting type thing. The other thing worth noting is you have a smaller windshield on here, and it's non-adjustable. So you could add a larger windshield. You could add a larger windshield to both of these, but this one here is a non-adjustable one where the RT is electrically adjustable. So let's take a quick look over there at the RT now and just sort of have this in your head. We'll try to do a direct fade. I'm not going to line it up perfectly, but you'll see what we're talking about here. So jumping over to the RT, you see a few different things. Instead of having that grille in the front here, you actually have a little bit more of a solid piece. And again, that probably has to do with that larger trunk in here. That's probably what helps enable some of that. We'll show you that in a second. But you do have sort of you have a, first of all, protective grille in front of the radiators right here, but you do have that radiator coming out to the side. So you have a little bit more visual width here, a little more cleaner front end there. And then of course you have the same setup here with the suspension out front, or very similar setup with the suspension out front, fenders over the wheels, same lighting over on this part, but you do have different lighting up top there. So that lighting there has been redesigned a couple years ago on the RT there to give it a little more of a, I don't know, kind of a futuristic look to me. You also have slightly different mirrors, and you have that taller windshield. So we'll get a better look at this windshield when we sit on it there, but I'm just kind of looking at a low angle here. It is a taller windshield, and this one is electrically adjustable up and down, so that's gonna give you a little bit extra wind protection. So the RT is really the touring rig of them both. You're gonna have a few more touring features as you go through there, but you know, you'll see that as we go through. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually sit on them first to show you the seating position on the F3 first, and then we'll come over and do the Limited and show you that difference, because that's one of the key differences as well. And then we'll start going through a few more details. All right, so taking a look at the F3 first, remember this evolved more from a sort of sportier kind of unit. And the first thing you're gonna notice is there are footboards here that are kind of movable on these bars. Now on some of the sportier F3s, these bars are like, you know, painted up red, so you can really kind of sort them out and see them there. This is different depending on the model of F3. So these are built in, but they don't have them on some of the F3s there. So the biggest thing here is you have some flexibility with where those foot pegs go, but it's a permanent type thing. So something like the Ryker, you can kind of lift those foot pegs, and I say foot pegs, the Ryker has foot pegs standard that you can kind of fold up and move back to different positions, so you can have that kind of laid out position or the more square position. But you have these floorboards here, and they're just set up where they are now. You could move them, again, down that rail or up that rail and have them where you want, but that's where your feet are gonna go. So although there's a lot of room on that footboard to move them, you will be moving your foot off that footboard. Overall riding position here, again, you can have adjustable, I say adjustable reach, you can swap out handlebars for a shorter reach, a longer reach, that kind of thing, but you have this here, and the windshield as equipped right now is below my chin there. Now there is a lot of airflow underneath here. There's those vents in the windshield, so you're gonna have air coming through, and the reason that's important is on such a big windshield, if you just had it solid and sealed up, it would create a backdraft in here that would suck you forward. So you've got good wind protection to take some of the pressure off, but you're still gonna have some wind coming through to alleviate that pressure of that suction. So you have a good seating position here. Dash is identical on both, so it's a digital 10¼ inch screen. We're gonna show you that as you come up, but there's your seating position. Again, feet could be moved, that kind of thing. You have a little different brake pedal on this side. You're gonna see the brake pedal on the other one, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. Remember, operation-wise, same thing. You've got a throttle like a motorcycle, you've got a gear shift with a trigger and a thumb over here, no clutch, automatic transmission. You usually shift up on your own and it'll downshift for you, or you can choose to downshift. So that's the overall position here. Let's sort of let you take a look at it, and then we'll go over to the RT. So taking a look at the RT from the side, you're gonna notice a little bit more body work here instead of motor or engine or, you know, that kind of thing. So again, this is a little more cruiser in style. Now right away I can tell you I'm taller here than on the F3. That's one thing that's worth pointing out. The handlebars seem closer to me and I'm more relaxed. Where the other one sort of felt like this one feels a little bit more like this. I'm gonna throw my biases in there. I like this style for myself. I find that this is the most comfortable one for me, but it will depend on what you want. Now, this one has a larger brake pedal. We're gonna show you that a little bit later in the video, but you can see the floorboards here, no adjustment, but you can put your foot out here, you can put your foot back here, and then the bodywork itself is gonna keep some extra splashes up so you have more wind protection, more water protection, that kind of thing. If you're going on a tour, you're just a little bit more protected. I feel like the dash is a little bigger, and certainly the windshield here is a little bit more protected. We're just gonna turn it on for a second. So again, it's maybe a little higher just in its lowest position. I assume it's in its lowest position, yep. So now we're gonna move it up, and it's coming up. And that's, again, electrically adjustable at any speed that you're driving. And now it's up here. So, you know, eye level or even above eye level. So you can be looking through your windshield at stuff. And again, I'm about 6 feet tall, so that may matter to you, but we're gonna put it back down just for the comparison purposes today. But that's a really nice feature to have. And again, my hands feel a little closer. The seat, it is different. I don't know that for my body type, one is more comfortable than the other. A little different, but again, same idea with controls here. Mirrors are in slightly different spots on them. I think they feel a little different. The dash is slightly different, but really no difference as far as practicality. But again, the ability to move and stay fully on the foot peg, including going wider. I can move them in, out. That kind of makes a difference. So you definitely have a lot of flexibility here. You can get a backrest for the driver, I believe, on both these, or the rider, driver on both of these. So that can, and when you do that on this one especially, I find it fits my back just perfectly and kind of keeps me square. So there's your riding position. It is one of the biggest differences in these two. Now let's start taking a look at some of the features set. So again, we'll go back to the F3 and then come back to this. So we're going to start with the front trunk on this. It's released the exact same way through the ignition key on both of these vehicles. Now I have an iPad mini. This is smaller than the traditional iPad, but it's an iPad mini, and I'm just going to set it in there. You can kind of see how big it is. It doesn't quite, actually it does fit perfectly down on the bottom like that. But the iPad mini, if I'm sitting it there, you know, there, you can kind of see how big this is there when I look at it. This is totally usable. I think you could put a helmet in there. It's one of the key things that make these style three-wheel vehicles more practical than a motorcycle, because you can have the saddlebags and the top box on a touring motorcycle, but you don't have this, and this adds a lot of practicality, but you're going to have more practicality, more depth for sure in the RT. Let's go take a look at that. All right, so just for comparison purposes, the tripod that I'm filming on, I haven't changed the height. So you can see it's kind of coming out of the frame there, and that's because it is a little taller, it is a little wider, but the real difference here is the depth. You can see I can go all the way down there, and I could probably fit another iPad mini on top of that and still have full clearance there. So this one does have the extra sort of Velcroed in piece here to give you a little bit more of a soft travel thing, but this is definitely larger. I can't fit my iPad. Oh, you know what? It does fit. So it does fit this way on the bottom, but there's a little bit of a dip there. I can fit it this way on the bottom. I couldn't fit it this way on the bottom of the F3. So it is definitely deeper, and has a lot of space in there. And that's, again, with this little bit of intrusion from this package that can sort of be taken out or taken in. But this, again, much deeper. If you're just throwing clothes or something in there, you're gonna fit a lot more clothes in there. It's almost like a, I don't know, I don't want to oversell it, but it does feel a little bit more like a carry-on luggage type size. Not quite, but you know, certainly capacity. If you had a soft duffel bag, or if you got the luggage that fits this exactly from Can Am, you're going to be able to fit a lot more depth in there than you would on the F3. Both offer a lot of storage though. Let's not undersell either one. They both have quite a bit of storage. So back over here to the F3 here, I want to show you the storage on the side. So this is the saddlebag, this is the left side. We're only going to go left side for today. I think that's just the easiest way. If you want to see the other side, then let me know and we'll tune in and do a full luggage review. So again, using the same iPad, there's sort of your depth there. You come a little bit forward, quite a bit forward there and back. And again, you have the seal along here. So it's nicely weather sealed, but also just the general shape of everything. You can see there's some water on this. There's some water underneath these as well. If you're wondering about what's leaking, it's just that they were recently cleaned. But the water does stay out of this nicely. So again, a little bit of storage in there. You can see it's a good size piece there. Let's go over and check the exact same hatch over on the RT. Taking a look at the RT over here, there is a different handle. It's on the front side here instead of on the top side there. Now, I didn't check the exact specs on these, and I did that intentionally because sometimes the specs can be misleading. I will say I always felt this one was bigger, but as you put my iPad in here, I'm not sure if it is or not, because there's a lot of, you know, similar length type thing here. To me, this feels a little bit easier accessible because there's a little bit of storage in front and back in the length of the F3. But from a spec sheet, you can check the website to see which one is more. Both are decent. You're not fitting a helmet, I don't think, in either one of these. Certainly not a full face helmet anyways. That's what I always say for a helmet. But again, little different sealing here too. You have the edge here and the rubber gasket is actually on the flap on the outside. Now I do like that both these fold down. That means anything that's gonna fall out, it's not gonna fall out on the road and get dirty or whatever else. So you have that ability of, if you stack something in here and it falls out, it's falling out there. So good design there. Let's check the top box on both of these now. So sitting nice and close here to the F3, you can sort of see the design here. You've got the taillight up here. The box appears to me to be the same box, but it's lower here. So we're gonna take a look here. So lower to the ground as far as where it hits your body. So popping this up, you have the quick release mechanism there. Can you see the one on the bottom there? Oh, there's one just in the bottom. You know what, let's come a little bit closer to do that for you. So there you go. Again, they appear to be the exact same box, which is not what I thought, but there we go. Once you take a close look at these, you see that. So you've got that sort of the link system, so L-I-N-Q. This link system is used throughout Can Am's product line. So everything from Sea-Doos to ATVs to these Spyders, Rikers, all kinds of things. They use this link system. So that allows this top box to come loose. Once it's on, you know it's powered because it's got the tail light down just below this latch here. So you've got tail light there. You also have a USB port there, which I believe is a double USB. Let's just double, yeah, double USB port. So it's USB-A ports and a little light in here. So USB-A and a little light in there, and then good storage here. How much storage? Well, there's the iPad again. You know, decent height there. Again, the iPad mini, so not a full iPad. And there is a little bit of a slant on the sides and a slant on this side, but again, good storage through there. Nice rubber gasket. And again, I didn't think this was the same, but I believe it is. Let's just take a quick look at the RT to show you. Over here with the RT, popping it open. Looks pretty close to the same to me. Again, it is taller here. So again, you still got the USB ports up top. You've got the light up top, which you can sort of half see there. So you can charge your phones, charge your basic devices in there, have the same bottom there. So again, same top box, which again, I didn't quite realize, but there you go. So again, I'm learning with you here. I thought this top box was different than that top box, and part of the reason I thought that is because of the seat design. So we're gonna take a look at the seat in a second here, but I just wanna show you that height from the back. There are a lot of shared pieces and parts in these vehicles, and that's why from the back to some people they look the same. You can see the lighting is the same lighting module, which is of course, that makes sense. But much different height. The lights are lower here. So again, if I put them up sort of to my body here, you can see it's going to be a little taller here. So there is a taller, more dominant look to this than there is to this. This is a more sleeker look. I don't know if that makes any difference to you, but that's one of the ways to tell them apart. But let's take a look at the front side of this top box and take a look at the seats. Now the seats can really vary depending on the models, but you have got you know, a more substantial backrest here. Does it make a difference? I don't know. I'll jump in and tell you what I think, but there's a difference. So taking a look at the F3 here, you can sort of see the design to this seat, a nice deep sculpted seat there. Again, I said the seats feel a little different. You're gonna see why. This seat here, the one-piece seat includes that sort of lower butt support there. So we'll just sort of keep on the RT, you'll see it's different. This lower butt support is actually part of the second seat. So that is that seat. And again, a little bit lower design here. This isn't gonna be the most flattering view of myself, but I'm gonna climb in just so I can see how that works. Mid-back, quite comfortable, I would find. It does feel to be a little bit smaller of a rear seat than the RT. Let's go take a look at that right now. We're gonna stay in the same shot and just scroll across here. So coming across the parking lot here at Extreme Torque Motorsports, we're in the Fredericton location. There you can see quite a bit of difference here. It is taller, and although both seats have a curl to them, this one seems to have more of a curl there. So again, as we look at the front seat here, the front seat sort of, you can see that single piece seat ends there, and this is more of the rear seat. The rear seat does appear to be larger to me here. So we're gonna jump on that rear seat for a second. Again, not the most flattering view, putting my belly on camera, showing you my rear end there, but yeah, again, there is more space here for that backrest here, and you can kind of feel that wrap around a little bit more here. So you got the handles down there. Both are very upright. There's very similar feeling to them both, but there is a little bit more of a hug here by having these few extra pieces out there. So there you go, slight difference to the backrest there. So back over on the F3 here, we're just going to turn the dash on again. Ignore the screen because I'm not filming the perfect, I say ignore the screen. You can pay attention to it, but don't be overwhelmed or underwhelmed by the screen because the way I'm filming right now is not a great place to get the clarity. I can read this clearly. It says always use this multifunction gauge in extreme caution. So yada, yada, yada. I understand, go to safety card is what it says on the very bottom. And you can see the display is the same on both these, and it is a touch screen. So you can operate it from both the touch screen situation and you can operate it through the controls you're seeing over here. So we're going to zoom into that just a little bit. Actually, let's zoom in all the way there. And you can kind of see that. So there is very good graphics on this, but that's not what we're showing because again, that is identical. We can show you that in another video. What we're showing down here is, first of all, in front of, it's hard to see on this angle, but basically the handlebar comes down here, or the handlebar mount comes down here, and you're immediately like a pinky width away from the screen there. That is different on the RT. You have speaker setup that's a little different as well, so take a quick look at those. And then that little silver button to the left of the key right there, I want to zoom into that. You do have, oh, can we get that clear? Let me see if I can sort of get that clearer. There we go. That is your heated grips button there on the on this unit here. So much less controls here than you're about to see on the RT. Before we go too far, let me just come all the way back here. We'll keep it, let's go fully wide angle just so you can see where we're headed here. Wide angle skews the view a little bit, but there's the identical button right over there beside the arm, or beside the handholds there. That is your heated grip there for the, heated grips for the rear seat. So the F3 still has that heated grip there. But again, we'll go wide angle, take a look at the seats again, take a look at basically the tank type view here. So that looks like a motorcycle tank, and a very clean look. So there's your look. All of this is basically the exact same. So we'll look at that in a second, but there's some differences in the speakers and in the switch gear in this area. And again, the closeness of this handlebar mount to the screen. So moving over to the RT, we can turn the dash on the same way. It's again going to come to life in the same way. Maybe we'll zoom in and watch some of the graphics this time. But again, hard to see in the light. Again, I'm not set up to film that screen perfectly. So same touchscreen, same display. Again, now Apple CarPlay capable on both of them. But there are some differences here. So you can see that the handlebar here has this space out front. Well, that space is actually a space to put your phone. Oops, leave that up a little bit. So if you put it in there, you can see, I don't know if you can see there is a cord in there. So that is the cord you can connect your phone to. Again, Apple CarPlay compatible there. You do have that space to put a phone in there, keep it charged, that kind of thing. I don't think it's wireless Apple CarPlay. I think it is required to be connected there, so you do have that option, which is nice to have. Then, of course, you see the speaker grills here. Instead of having the multi-speakers here, you've got speaker there and speaker down here. Hopefully you can sort of see that one there, or maybe a little bit easier to see on the far side there. And then you have, again, a variety of controls down here. So I believe you can get heated seats on both of these in the accessories, but this one does have that adjustable windscreen we already showed you, the heated grips, 2 levels of heated grips there, and then also the heated seat there as well. And when we do the exact same thing and scroll around to this seat over here, you can see here that they have the same style buttons over here, and they're going to be upside down on them, for the heated grips and the heated seat for the rear passengers. So you've got some, general upgrades there, I would say. The ability to have your phone in a pocket, close at hand is nice. The ability to have that windscreen, which again, if you want a taller windscreen, you can still put a taller windscreen on this or the other one, but this one is still adjustable. So you're going to have a little bit more flexibility there, and along with the extra flexibility of having just a few of those controls there. A dummy switch here, I'm not sure what you would want to put in there. I'm sure the Can Am accessories catalog will have a lot. The other thing I want to show you is some of these footboards, but we're going to go take a look. This is the left side. I want to show you the right side of both because the brake pedal is different on both. So let's just go right side to right side of the F3 to the RT. So staying on the F3 right here, you can see the passenger footboards here. They do sort of fold up, and they fold up on both of these and get out of the way. And then you've got the driver's footboards there. So again, this can be moved and adjusted. Now, I do think it's a one-time adjustment. This appears to be a solid bar here, so you would have to get a different bar there from my understanding. Whereas on the Riker, you can just move that along the way. I'm not sure what the design differences are, but the Riker, you can move it with that foot pad. I'm just trying to climb awkwardly across this to show you. I got size 11 running shoes here, so these are the same size exactly as Nike running shoes. You can see that foot peg there. I don't know if you can see, or the brake pedal there. Much smaller it will be than on the RT, and again, size 11 running shoes, so there's roughly the size of that. Now let's show you the RT. There is a significant difference. So over here on the RT, again, we'll take a closer look here at the passenger peg. Again, it folds up, the passenger footboard there. It does fold up, and also his height adjustable there, you can see. And then you've got this massive footboard here with a much bigger brake pedal as well. Now again, I'll jump across this kind of awkwardly again, try to get it in the shot with my size 11 feet. And you can see, again, just a much bigger area here and a much bigger foot brake here. Now, I don't know that the foot brake's pedal size makes a difference. It does kind of blend in nicer. There is a bit of an angle over here. So if you were to bring your foot across, you're not gonna kind of get stuck underneath. It does sort of guide you up there. But again, very good size here to this, and that is one of the key differences, as well as a lot more protection from wind, rain, other stuff in there in the foot brake. Remember, there's no handbrake on these, so this does all of your braking on all three wheels with that ABS braking. So again, just the ability to move around here. Again, I'm showing my biases. This is my preference, but both are good. So those are some of the key differences between these two vehicles. Now there are other minor things here and there, and if you have something in mind that you want me to point out in the future, feel free to let me know. But those are the real key differences. But let's talk about which one is right for you and, you know, sort of how to decide which one you would want. The first thing you have to do is you have to sit on them, because there is a difference. That taller seating position is something that I prefer. To me, this feels a little bit more like an adventure style motorcycle where you have that relatively square seating position, where this one feels a little bit more like a cruiser motorcycle where you have a little bit more of a reclined position. I like this just because of the type of motorcycles I tend to ride. That's the position that I feel, but you may feel that one is just absolutely more comfortable for you than the other, and that may work for you. If you have a slightly larger passenger, these are still very large seats. Like, I don't want to downplay this. The F3 has a very large seat compared to motorcycles, but you're going to have a little bit more space again on the RT. So just a little bit extra space around there might make a difference to the comfort of that person. It's probably not something that they're going to find one is uncomfortable and the other is more comfortable, but this one does have a little bit more space, and that may create a little bit. Now, again, if you're a smaller person, it's not going to matter either one. You've got more space than you need. Even in my size, I got more space than I need either way, but this one does have a little bit larger rear seat. If you need to take extra luggage, again, compared to motorcycles, side bag, top bag, side bag is all you have on a motorcycle, so anything that goes in the front gives you an advantage. This one's a little bit smaller, this one's a little bit larger. Now, unless you're packing everything up to the absolute top, it probably won't matter. As far as I know, both can tow. I have to double check that. I've seen the RT tow. Not sure about the F3, so I'll have to double check that one. If you want to tow, you have some towing capability with a lightweight trailer. Even a lightweight trailer, I believe, so they can still get that from Can Am, so you have a custom type trailer there. But most of the time, I think people want to go with this. Other little differences worth noting: if you are someone who travels in cold weather often, or might get stuck in the rain on your tours, there are little deflectors here and there on the RT and the taller windshield that's going to give you a little bit more protected. Now, that can make it warm on a very hot weather day. So if you're in a southern states often, you may want some more wind flow, and you may not want as much wind protection. Now, you can sort of tweak this. Again, you can get a smaller windshield on this, you can get a larger windshield on this. So overall wind and weather protection, if that really matters to you, if you want complete silence on your helmet, you're probably going to want to lean to something like this, where you can bring that, get a larger windshield and bring it up, and even at 6 feet tall, you're going to be covered. Whereas this one, although you can get a larger windshield, not sure how much of that total silence you're going to have around your helmet. This one does have a little lip on the windshield here, where this one rides straight up. So a lot, again, little differences here and there that we could point out and get really nitpicky, but at the end of the day, this one was set up for touring from the start. You can give it a sporty look. This one was designed to be a little bit lower, a little bit sleeker, you know, a little bit more cruiser, and maybe a little bit more sporty. I like the way both of these handle, but I can see how being a little bit lower to the ground kind of gives you that more immediacy of handling, more immediacy of feeling, and that may be something that shows through here. At the end of the day, mechanically, they really are the same. Same engine, same transmission, so there's not a massive difference between them that way. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about which one may be right for you, which one may be right, you know, for you or not. I personally like this one. The other key feature is, if you want to go touring, and you want to move up from something like the Ryker, which is the smaller three-wheel vehicle from Can Am, this one here is going to be more accessible from a price perspective. So you may not need everything on this one, and you just want some luggage space and go touring. This one's going to be a better price point than the RT, and that may be enough to help you get touring this year, as opposed to waiting another year or two down the road when you've saved enough to get the slightly more expensive one. So there is your basic overview of the two. Again, if you have questions, I'll come back to it. And again, if you're in New Brunswick and you want to buy something like this or see it in person, Extreme Torque Motorsports, I'm filming here in Fredericton. They got 2 other locations in New Brunswick. They are amazing. They have an amazing staff. I don't know these things hardly at all. Their staff knows these things, and the big thing is they also know the accessories you can come with this. We talked about these boxes being removable. You want to put a cooler on the back instead and take your cooler with you, you can do that. You want to put other stuff on there. So having an idea of which accessories you want to put on these is a really cool thing, and they're really good about just walking through, understanding who you are, and understanding what accessories you may want as well to make these the ultimate touring rig for you. So there you go. Thanks to Extreme Torque Motorsports. If you made it this far in the video, do me a favor, hit a like, maybe leave a nice comment for Extreme Torque for letting us film these. And yeah, if you can subscribe, we're gonna have more. Talk to you again in the next one.